caught me in the middle of making a cake and I'm getting in all sorts of a mess. There's flour all over the place. I'm broken an egg. I've got flour in my hair, on my hands. Got myself into a real mess. But once I've got the cake in the oven, I'm going to need somebody to come and help me tidy it up. I wonder if there's anybody who will help me because I'm in such a mess. Thank you, Crow. You were a real help there. Yes, I know it makes a change, doesn't it, that you help me sort out one of my messes rather than me help you sort out your mess. But I'm glad you're happy to do that. I'm glad you're happy to help. But I wonder if any of the children have ever got into a mess. Yeah, I think they probably have as well. Perhaps they've been out playing and they've got muddy. Yes, I know you sometimes go out and get muddy when you're playing, don't you? And people at home aren't necessarily that happy when you come in all sorts of a mess. Yeah, and perhaps the room or their toys aren't that tidy and they have to get those tidied up. You want me to help you tidy those up? Yep, I'll help you a bit later, Crow. Okay. When the cake's out of the oven, we'll do that, but I don't want it to burn, so we've not really got time yet. But I won't forget, that's right, I won't forget. But we do have time for a story, and we do have time to listen to what somebody else did when they had a mess to sort out. Nineveh was a great big city, so big it would take several days to walk across it non-stop. People looked at it and thought it was great, but the people who lived there started to get themselves into a mess. They were mean and nasty to each other. They robbed and bullied, they murdered, and they forgot all about God. Read all about it. Crime rate soars. More murders in downtown Nineveh. It's not safe to be on our streets. Read all about it. Now, a long way from Nineveh, there was a man called Jonah. Jonah was an average sort of person. He tried to do his best to follow God and do what God wanted. Sometimes he got things right, and sometimes he got things wrong. Today, he was about to get into a great big mess. God used Jonah to pass on his messages to other people. One day, God spoke to Jonah and told him one of these messages. Hello, Jonah. Hello, God. Have you heard about those people in Nineveh? Everyone's heard about them, Lord. They're horrible. They do all sorts of nasty things. They lie and cheat and beat each other up. I hate them. I don't. I love them. But I don't like what they're doing. They're getting themselves into a great big mess. Serve them right, if you ask me. Someone should go and sort them out. I'm glad you said that, Jonah. I need someone to go to Nineveh and warn them about the trouble they're heading into if they don't change their ways. I don't want to have to punish them. I want them to choose the right thing and change their ways. I just need someone to go on and pass that message on. How about Jeremiah from number 32? Or Rebecca, she lives near the shop. You must know her. I want you to go, Jonah. Me? You. Matthias would be good. I want you to go, Jonah. I'll help you. You just need to pass on my message. There's a ship leaving in an hour, so go and pack your bags. Jonah did pack his bags and headed off to the harbour. However, instead of getting on a boat to Nineveh, he found one heading in the opposite direction, to Spain. He thought he'd have a nice holiday there and get away from God and what God wanted him to do. That was his big mistake. That's where he started to get into a mess. Mind you, everything started well. The boat set sail, the sun shone, the boat rocked gently. Jonah thought that he'd gotten away with it. He'd avoided doing the scary thing that God asked him to do. Then the wind began to get up, the boat began to rock, the rain began to come down. Things got worse and worse. The sailor dashed here and there, trying to sort it out. But all the time, Jonah was below the decks, having a nap. The sea was so rough that even the sailors became seasick. The sailors started to throw the cargo overboard to lighten the load, but the sea just got rougher and rougher. The sailors said to themselves, someone must be to blame for this. This storm isn't normal. It's not my fault, nor mine, not mine either. They realised that it had to be Jonah, so they rushed below decks. The ship's going to sink. We're going to drown. Why aren't you praying to your God for help? I can't. God wanted me to do something, but I was so scared that I ran away. If your God's behind this, what are you going to do about it? I haven't got any choice. Throw me overboard. Just get rid of me and you'll be okay. I'm responsible for this mess. So the sailors seized Jonah and threw him overboard. Immediately, the storm stopped and the sailors heaved a sigh of relief. Jonah thought that he was a goner, but God loved him too much for that. He had a plan for Jonah to get him out of his mess and to help the people in Nineveh. God sent a massive fish along and it swallowed Jonah whole. Somehow God kept Jonah alive in the belly of the fish. As you can imagine, it wasn't very nice in there. But at last Jonah came to his senses and asked God to help him sort out his mess. God had the fish throw Jonah up on the shore. Blech! Gasping in the bright light, Jonah looked around and saw a city in the distance, the great city of Nineveh. God had got him there just where he needed to be. Jonah quickly cleaned himself up and set off for the city. When he got there, he started passing on God's message. People of Nineveh, you've got yourself in a mess. You've done all sorts of bad things. God wants to help you, but if you don't change your ways, something bad will happen in 40 days. Jonah walked across the city, passing on God's message. Jonah thought that the people would attack him and beat him up, but they didn't. Instead, they listened and paid attention to what he said. Even the king. You're right, Jonah. We have got into a mess. We want to say sorry and ask God to help us to sort it out. God smiled. That's just what he wanted to hear. He loved the people so much and didn't like seeing them in the mess that they were in. However, he also wanted them to have the choice to do the right thing. And that's how God is with us too. If we get into a mess, and we do that all sorts of times, God still loves us. He might not like the messes we create, but is there to help us to sort them out. Remember too, there are people around us who will help us to sort out the messes that we get into. Even when Jonah had messed up, God looked after him and helped him to help the people of Nineveh too. And God will help us as well. Perhaps you can help someone out of a mess that they get into, or point them into the direction of someone else who can help them. Now, I'd better be off to see how the cakes are doing. Be seeing you.